Ruichi and his little brother Kotaro lost their parents in a tragic plane crash, so the chairwoman of a school took them in. But in exchange, Ruichi has to become the school's babysitter. Saikawa, the secretary, showed Ruichi to the school's daycare, which was created to assist the female employees in the school. There, Ruichi meets Usaida, the only staff member, and the rest of the kids. There's Taka, the stubborn loud one, Kirin, the smartest but not by a lot, Takuma and Kazuma, the inseparable twins, and Midori, the baby. Usaida tells Ruichi that he doesn't get paid for overtime and has to leave, since Ruichi doesn't ask for his help. Usaida dumps the babies on him and dips. The babies run wild and free while Kotaro sits quietly in a corner, seemingly reading a book. Later, the mothers arrive to get their kids while Hayato stands in for his mom and picks Taka up. Hayato points out that Kotaro looks lonely, so Ryuichi goes to check on him but discovers he's got a fever. They rush him to a pediatrics ward where he gets some rest. When Ryuichi waits outside, he bursts into tears, realizing how much he misses his parents, but the chairwoman walks up and confronts him. Ryuichi heads back in and tearfully reunites with his brother. The two go home and sleep. The next morning, Ryuichi leaves the babies with Usaida so he can attend his classes, but after wondering why everyone's staring at him, Hayato points out the line of babies behind him. Taka bumps into Maria, a stiff bookworm from the gifted class, who scolds them till the babies start to cry. Ryuichi and Hatayo take the babies back to the daycare, and Maria shows up with one of the lunches they left behind. Just then, Usaida develops a stomachache and leaves Ryuichi and Maria in charge while he goes to the nurse's office. Maria initially makes all the kids run and hide, but when she realizes she's once again alone as usual, she starts to cry. The kids see the pathetic girl couldn't possibly be a threat, so they comfort her, and they all take nap time together. Later, Usaida suggests a trip to the zoo with all the mothers, but when Hayato shows up with Taka, he says he can't stay because he's got baseball practice. Taka acts like he doesn't care, but after a whole day looking at the animals, he notices a man who looks like Hayato and follows after him. Everyone panics and tries to look for him, but Hayato is the one who finds him crying alone. He smacks him on the head for going off alone, and they all head home. Valentine's Day arrives, and a girl named Yuki wonders how she'll give her chocolates to Ryuichi since she's got a crush on him. However, giving chocolates is banned in the school, so Maria goes around ruining everyone's fun. Meanwhile, Tomoya, the most popular boy in school, asks to play with the kids at the daycare, but Maria overhears that Tomoya is a bit of a baby freak and rushes there to protect them. She finds him nose bleeding over how cute the babies are, and another student, Chukichi, drags him out, saying he's too much of a weirdo to join their club. Later, Ryuichi hands Maria some chocolates for helping out, while Yuki sadly watches from afar. The next day, the babies go out to join their soccer practice when they notice Takuma with a strange man, so Hayato knocks him out. The strange man turns out to be the twins' father, who's apparently a famous actor. The twins don't seem to care much for his presence, which makes him sad and leave, but they rush after him and beg him not to go. His wife shows up and says she'd shown them some of his scary movies, which might have been the cause of the issue, and she sheds tears of joy to play with them. After a while, Ryuichi enters high school and now looks for new recruits for the Babysitters Club. However, everyone seems to be enjoying other clubs, which makes Ryuichi sad. Kotaro takes the initiative and recruits Hayato, while the other kids offer him cookies to feel better. However, the next day, Ryuichi comes down with a cold, so the chairwoman takes Kotaro away so he doesn't catch it too. While Ryuichi rests, she gives Kotaro the task of squeezing lemons for tea. When they're done, they hand it to Ryuichi, who instantly feels better. One day, Hiroyuki stops by the club hoping to see Midori, his future daughter. Ryuichi is utterly confused and takes this to mean Midori's mother must be cheating on her husband. Ryuichi tells him that's pretty messed up, but Hiroyuki assures him that Yukari is a single mom. Just then, Yukari walks in, and Hiroyuki tries to confess his love, but she interrupts him and mentions that her husband is coming home from his trip. Hiroyuki makes up something else to save his skin and ends up feeling stupid. Later, Kirin and Taka have a fight about witches or superheroes being real. Taka is able to provide a picture of him meeting a superhero, while Kirin has nothing. She grabs a broom and attempts to fly, but it clearly doesn't work. She even jumps off the building for it, but thankfully, Ryuichi catches her in time. She realizes her failure and cries. So the chairwoman shows up and assures her that she'd have to be at least 100 years old to learn how to fly. This calms her down, and she heads back to play with the other children. On another day, Ryuichi forgets his lunch, so Kotaro says he wants to take it to him. Usaida prepares him and sends him on his way, but he recruits Hiroyuki to secretly watch him and make sure he's okay. Meanwhile, Yuki offers Ryuichi her food instead, but all the boys get jealous and offer him theirs too, leaving him stuffed. Back in the hallway, Hiroyuki warns the students of the incoming baby, and Kotaro finally manages to make it up the staircase. After he finds Ryuichi, whose touch that Kotaro came all the way for him, his classmates almost died over how sweet he was to share his food with his brother, even though his stomach was probably about to burst. The next day, the girls gossip about how cute Ryuichi is, but when Yuki gets nervous, they assure her Kotaro is more of her competition. One mentions Maria, but they say she doesn't seem like the romantic type, which she overhears. She runs into Kirin and Kotaro, who came out to play with her, but when she says she doesn't visit the daycare because of Ryuichi, Kirin thinks she hates him and wants to change her mind. Kirin tries to show her how caring Ryuichi is, but when she asks him if she likes Ryuichi in front of everyone, Maria denies it and storms off. Ryuichi then rushes after her, only to tell her that she's got stickers on her skirt, which makes everyone sure he's an airhead. The next day, Kyosuke brings Takuma to school, but says Kazuma is homesick. He's worried that Takuma will be a wreck without his brother, but Takuma just carries on as usual. However, during nap time, Takuma wakes up, and when he doesn't see his other half, he leaves the daycare. Later, Ryuichi and Kotaro find him waiting at the school gate, and luckily Umi shows up with Kazuma. Takuma finally lets the waterworks flow, as he's happy to be reunited with his twin. After some time, Ryuichi finds a love letter from a girl he hardly knows, while Yuki and Maria overhear this. Ryuichi has no idea what to do about the situation and spends the whole day red in the face. It's so bad that Kotaro thinks he is sick again and runs off to get a lemon, which worries Ryuichi. But after making sure Kotaro is fine, he turns his secret admirer down while the girls eavesdrop and realize they also stand no chance. Later, Taka calls Kotaro and asks to go to the festival together. Ryuichi and Kotaro get dressed up in yukatas, which Hayato thinks is corny. They go around till they get to a shady booth Taka wants to try. Hayato doesn't let him despite his tantrum, which is when he notices that his toy sword has gone missing. They spread out to search for it but have no luck, until Hayato caves and allows them to go to the shady booth where Taka's sword had been the whole time. The next weekend, they all hit the beach along with the baby's mothers. Ryuichi tries to take Kotaro into the water, but Kotaro's just too scared. Ryuichi then stays by him while he plays with sand, but almost dies of heat stroke. Finally, the kids fall asleep and Ryuichi gets to cool off in the water with Hayato. However, Kotaro wakes up and looks for his brother, and when he sees him in the water, he tries to go to him, but one of the mothers saves him as he calls out for Ryuichi. Ryuichi rushes straight to him and comforts him with a seashell she picked. So Kotaro remembers his parents saying he could hear the ocean with it and puts it to his ears. The next day in daycare, Shizuka drops Taka off, but he won't stop crying. Apparently, Taka had drawn all over Hayato's autographed baseball because Hayato didn't spend enough time with him. In return, Hayato ignored the kid, which was worse than one of his usual head chops. Since no one else is available to watch the kids, the chairwoman offers to do it, while Ryuichi goes to talk to Hayato. Ryuichi reveals that Kotaro has also ruined several of his stuff, but he knows he means no harm. Meanwhile, the chairwoman asks Taka for something he treasures and almost destroys it to demonstrate what Taka has done to Hayato after baseball practice. Taka apologizes to Hayato, and Hayato apologizes for not spending more time with him. Weeks later, the school holds its annual festival, and the daycare sets up a refreshment stand with the kids dressed as vegetables. The fathers of the babies would be stopping by, so Yayoi pops in to ask a favor. The boys dress up like girls, hoping to fool her husband, but he sees straight through Usaida's wig and throws a tantrum about his baby girl associating with men. They eventually get him under control when Kirin tells him how much she wants to participate, and all the kids serve drinks for their parents. The chairwoman was too busy to stop by, so they took a picture for her to see how adorable they all were. On another day, Shizuka stops by to invite the kids to watch some eggs hatch, and Kotaro seems especially excited to watch it happen the next day. When they arrive at school the next morning, Shizuka tells them it's finally happening, so they rush to see it. It takes some hours, but the first chick finally breaks out, and they all imprint on Kotaro as their mom. The rest of the daycare pops in to play with the chicks, and they all have lots of fun. One winter's day, Usaida calls in sick, so Saikawa has to stand in for him. All hell breaks loose, and one of the kids even pees on his back, so he calls Usaida to ask for new diapers. But the line suddenly cuts, worrying Usaida enough to head to the school. However, when the boys check on him, everything's under control, and Midori even calls Usaida's name as her first word. The next day, Maria drags Yuri to hang out with the babies, but she's surprisingly terrible with kids. After one too many harassments from the kids, the last straw was when Kieran dumped some bugs in her hands, causing her to pass out. After she wakes up, Usaida stops by with the kids, who apologize for scaring her and offer her flowers. Then when she learns Maria blamed herself for the whole thing, she runs after her and tells her she actually loves her. Later, the boys invite Ryuichi out to the movies with them, which means he has to leave Kotaro behind. Saikawa takes care of him in the meantime and shows him a library where the charwoman's children used to read. Kotaro hands him a book and Saikawa reads it to him, so when the chairwoman returns, she sees them through the window and it reminds her of her kids. When Ryuichi returns home, he finds Ryuichi sitting right by the door, and the two are happy to be reunited. Weeks later, Christmas approaches and Ryuichi tries to come up with a plan to dress up as Santa. He tells the guys about his issue and is eventually able to borrow a suit. On Christmas Day, the chairwoman and Saikawa say they have meetings to attend, so it's just Ryuichi and Kotaro. But since Kotaro won't leave his side, Ryuichi has no idea how he'll dress up as Santa. Then they hear the bell ring, and when they open it, they find Santa and all their friends surprising them for Christmas. The chairwoman gives Ryuichi a new phone, and they take yet another adorable picture together to mark the occasion. Would you ever work as a babysitter? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.